The San Joaquin Extravaganza, and I was just going through a lot of these. Like I said, I'm gonna try to post most of these. That way, there's at least one of these on the channel just to kind of help you guys, whether I'm doing something good or bad. Hopefully, you learn either way. I'll just kind of show you the basic blueprint of what I do. But the rules are as follows: you can't use a rod stand. Uh, you can use any kind of tackle you want: float rod, bottom rod, feeder rod, whatever you want. The goal of this, though, is going to be a total weight score. As you can see, I might be able to finish in the middle of the pack if I have a good run. Definitely not setting my sights on the top three. That probably won't happen. However, just to kind of show you guys how these things play out. Basically, you want a fish that's 5 kilogram or higher, so 10, 11 pound fish. So good rule of thumb, most people is going to go for the sturgeon, obviously, and maybe some trophy carp. So we're going to go ahead and enter this. You can bring your boat, no rod stand, so you're just basically fishing with one rod. You can use your boat to go from place to place, but you cannot just catch the fish out of it. So in other words, only the fish from the shore will score. So we'll see if we have any luck. I've played in this one a couple times. This one's actually a fun one, and I think somebody with a little bit of tweaking, you could probably do fairly well in this. But again, so many people's played in this that they've got years of experience playing in it. But it's anybody that likes catching the sturgeon and the carp here, it's actually pretty fun. Again, you only get one rod. Duck mussel is a pretty good choice because what is going on here? I'm trying the wrong one. All right, there we go. Again, duck mussel is a pretty good choice in several spots because you want to pick up the trophy carp and the. Some people might go for a stillhead or something at the end, but basically you just want to get as many big fish as you can in a 1 hour's time frame. As you can, I'm starting 5 minutes later than everybody else, so definitely a little bit ahead. Again, wherever you got sturgeon marks and carp marks is usually a pretty good place to start. Again, I usually don't sit on a spot too long if it's not active, but it's going to have to see how your luck goes. You'll notice that your RNG obviously is going to, for the most part, seem random, hopefully. Now you can play with your hook sizes. 4 to 6 is pretty good depending on what you're trying to do. And I do leave a bell attached just to, sometimes I'll pull the bait a little bit to see if I can get some action. Hopefully this spot's active. Again, these are these things you're going to need to figure out, kind of just figure out how I think I can get 2 here, the sturgeon. Ooh, that's a nice start. That's a big one. You can usually get a couple carp from this spot. Most of you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with this spot. So if you guys ever need a marker, let me know. But I would assume anybody that is this level or higher, you've been able to find this mark. Again, we're playing in the San Joaquin Extravaganza. And since there is a long mark, I will throw out towards it as well. Now, for the most part, everybody's going to be targeting the sturgeon, but the duck mussel is great because you can pick up either or. And a lot of those spots are unilateral, so to speak, so you could pick up a carp or you could pick up a sturgeon. Now, later on in the tournament, you might want to switch to spawn sack, huge cut bait. If you know the spot that you're fishing has nothing but sturgeon, then feel free to switch over to whatever bait you like, whatever hook size. But I would say 4 to 8 is probably best. I keep 4s on just to hopefully get a bigger bite and let the RNG cycle, whether you're going to get a 27-pound sturgeon or a 55-pound one. It's kind of just going to be depend on luck, I think. So I normally just go for the faster bite, hopefully, and keep a hook size small. In other words, if I pick up a carp by mistake, then it's more apt to happen on a 4.0 than it would be an 8.0. So that's kind of why I stick at the 4s. I've ran 6s as well. The bite rate seemed a little slower, but I didn't see any benefit of having bigger fish out of the 6.0. So that's kind of where I stuck at. So as you can see, that's a nice size carp that I just picked up right there. Now I probably will cast just right back since I'm already here. See if I can pick up a carp or a sturgeon. I usually try to get 3 or 4 fish from over here before I go over the island. And then I don't know the respawns or stuff like that. I'm not that fancy on it just yet. Like I said, I've only played in this. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time I've played in this as well. But this one's actually fairly fun. And again, you're playing with the people that's been in here playing this, however long this map and competitions. A lot of these guys have played it that long. So again, anybody on my friends list that watch this, I'm just kind of doing this for fun and kind of help you guys out. Whatever adjustments you need to make, whether I do something good or bad, just adjust from there. You will have some slow times here and there, but again, I think a guide, you kind of need to figure out your count on each one of your markers. But like I said, I normally try to get at least 1 carp over here and 2 sturgeon. Sometimes you can get 2 carp and 2 sturgeon, 3 sturgeon, but it kind of varies. And on the far cast, if I don't get something fairly quick, I'll just kind of drag it all the way along and just see if I can pick up something. Sometimes a carp will hit it. And if I don't get in something within 100 foot or so, I'll roll it in close. Since I know this mark's about 50 foot out, I'll just roll it in 50 foot and let it sit for a second instead of recasting to save myself time. And I've got as little as 2 fish over here, but we've got a sturgeon and a nice size common carp over here, our trophy carp, so trophy common. Again, rod stands are prohibited, so you're only using 1 rod. And if it's slow, this slow, you've caught 2, go ahead and bounce out. Obviously, don't sit one spot too long. The majority of the time, just to see if your spot's active, like I said, it's kind of all up to you what you want to do. I normally let it sit 20, 30 seconds, reel it just a little bit. If I don't have something, I kind of figure it's not active, so. I have got 700 pounds in this before, and that was a pretty good run for me, but I want to assume the top 3 might be like I said, this is the third or fourth time I played, and I know some of these guys might get 900 to 1100 pounds or points, and it's basically just going by pounds. It's total fish caught. Again, you might want to rotate, or you could cast right back here and go for a carp, or cast back out here and go for a sturgeon. Kind of all up to you. But any of you guys that are familiar with this lake and haven't played in this comp yet, this is actually a fairly fun comp. Like I said, I don't plan on winning or anything, but it's something to partake in, something different to do. If you're bored and looking for something different to do, you can definitely come in and join this. This comps can be really fun. The worst run I've had, I think, was 500 pounds. And like I said, the best run I've had, 700, 750. So we'll just have to see. Again, RNG's involved. You could catch a bunch of 20 and 30 pound sturgeon, and somebody else is catching 40 and 50 pound sturgeon. So by default, you're going to fall behind. But we did get a nice 51 pounder, so we're not doing too awful bad. Again, I do kind of lightly drag this across the bottom in my spots and just kind of find your range. How do I use a soft crawl? How do I use a crawl soft lure? You can various retrieves, man. If you watch one of my Nile perch videos, even though it's not on a crawl, you can stop and go in the midpoint. Number one, you got to figure out what you're fishing for. So if you're fishing for something that's in the strike zones in the middle of the water column, you'd want to like twitch it or stop and go in the middle. Could be something that's on the bottom if you're going for a catfish, and sometimes the bass are on the bottom too. So you might want to first things first is figure out what you're fishing for. If it's a bass, they probably could be anywhere from the middle to the bottom. The catfish, obviously, you're going to want to focus on the bottom. Stop and go twitch. Sometimes straight works, but stop and go and twitch are usually the 1 and 2 retrieves used for most things. So we do got a nice sturgeon. Okay, since I've caught 2 over here, and then I would just, that's another nice one. Oh, you have the turtle spoon. Awesome, dude. I'm glad you got that, man. I remember when you were going for that the other day, Mariska. Good to hear you got it, man. Yeah, that dragon, the turtle spoon. That's the one where you got to get the turtles there at Rocky, I think, or somewhere else, and then yeah, I remember that one too. I got confused because I remember last time I thought you were going for that Dedro spoon. There's a lot of missions on here, man. Some of them I remember, just like yesterday, and then some of them I don't. Again, as you can see, we're fairly active. We're getting fairly decent RNG as well. Well, that was a smaller one. As soon as I say that. Again, any of you guys bouncing in and out, we're just doing the San Juan here at California Fishing Planet, just doing a quick sturgeon competition. Just trying to put a bunch of this stuff up on the channel, guys, for you guys that are just learning comps and wanting something different to do and go and try. But it's show you guys how this plays out, and if any moment that you feel like you should have used a different bait or a hook size, then you kind of know what to expect and what you want to try when you go in. But oh, you need a tire and trout. Yeah, shoot, that's been a long time since I did that one. I'm trying to remember that one. Like I said, whoa, that was a big bite. Like if it's something I can help you with, buddy, I will. Some of those things are just not as fresh on my mind. Turn a trout. Some of the missions I did fairly quick in the game, and then other ones kind of lingered and I came back to. Dang, we're getting good RNG. I've played in this before and felt like I mainly just got 30s and 35s. China trout. How are you gonna get 10 of them? Are the is this at the? Oh, I know that one. I remember that one. I think is that at Rocky or is that one at Falcon? If it's at Rocky, all you're gonna want to do is go cast towards the wall on the top spawn. There's that wall that's way back in the distance. I, yep, at Rocky. Okay, the spawn point that's up there where you can cast, I don't know, it's probably a good 150-foot cast or so. There's the flat wall at the back. Cast towards that wall. And I would like to say you get probably 4 or 5 of them over there. And then the other spawn point, same thing, kind of cast towards the wall, but cast through the rocky area where all those little boulders are. I remember that one now. Yep, that should be it. Try that a couple times and let me know. Again, so the sturgeon seem a little slow in this point. What I would do, I'm going to cast and try to get a couple carp. I should be able to get a carp over here, so I'll cast over here. And these things, to try to keep pace with these leaders, it's really tough. So, you don't want to go more than, especially right now in this hot of the peak, you don't want to go more than 3 or 4 minutes without catching a fish. So you got to be patient, but at the same time, you got to be persistent and keep rotating around. And then towards the end of this, it can get kind of slow, but then it'll pick back up. Kind of what I normally do is I'll spend 15 minutes over here real time. You get an hour. And maybe 7 or 8 minutes, I'll go back over there and see what I can get off the first place I go. See, this should be a nice trophy carp. And it got me a little bit of points anyway, so. And see if I can either get another carp here or hopefully a sturgeon's back. I'll try a short cast here. If I don't get anything, cast another long one. If I don't get anything there, then I might go back to the boat dock and then drive back over to the other spot. That's kind of how I rotate around. But again, I don't know all the respawn times on this stuff or the count, and that's kind of where you guys... Yeah, hold on a second, bro. I'll try to look at it for you. I'm gonna pull this up and see. Hold on. No kayak at Rocky. It has a Rocky. No, you should have the. There should be. Yeah, I know there's no kayak there, but there's that wall. If you spawn over to the right side, bro, there should be. Either way, you can cast through those boulders or cast through the rock. You should be able to pick up those trout. There should be 10 of them. In other words, if you catch 3 or 4, go to the other spot and then try to catch 3 or 4. But just get that first one so you can figure. I want to say Rocky's a better lake for stop and go, but Twitch will still work. So you might want to do stop and go. Try to figure out how deep they are. A good rule of thumb is to start in the middle of the water column. If you're not getting them, then go lower or higher when you're working the lure. And I don't know what reel and stuff you got, but whatever you control, whether it's speed 1 or 2, whatever you can control your lure is what I would suggest. Try that first. Again, since the island got a little slow, I'll come back over here and see if I can pick up another carp or a sturgeon. Don't know why I got my trolling motor. I could have just hopped out. Again, I know in the past when I played in this, I've been able to get 4 over here at one time. So I left 2 behind a second ago. So I'm hoping they'll bite now. That's kind of my thought process. But like I said, don't. If it were me, depending on your gear's probably smaller. I would probably go to the Everglades and farm you some bass. And then once you get it upgraded, I used to farm the Everglades for drum and snook, believe it or not, but you'll need a little bigger gear for that. I wouldn't go to Tiber. Tiber's kind of tricky. You can, if you like catching trout, it's fun, but uh, I would probably go to the Everglades, to be honest with you. You can fill a net there with bass fairly quick, and the bass per pound is a really good little money farm at your level. Again, since I've rotated back over here, I probably won't spend more than 4 or 5 minutes at either one of these little casts just to see if I can get something up. Now, again, any of you guys watching, this might be a point where you brought a lure rod and you want to go over and try to get a stillhead. You could, but just by the weight of it, you're kind of going to want to focus on sturgeon. Oh no, you got a bait caster, but you sold the reel. Yeah. Like I said, just be careful. There's a spawn there. It's the, I want to say something open delta or salty delta spawn. Be careful at that spot. Stick to the first two spawn points, to be honest with you. Or there's infinity tunnels. I can't remember the first spawn. I wouldn't, if you got light gear, you don't want to go down there and actually catch a big drum or a snook. You'll be fighting it forever if you got a light setup, man. I'd focus on the bass first. But I would definitely try to get that reel back. And I was just talking about that with a buddy, how hard it was. I remember when I got to the Everglades, all I had was, I think, one of the smaller jig winners and one of the other smaller bait casters. And boy, a lot of long fight times. Okay, so now I've caught three sturgeon over here. And one trophy carp. But there's usually two trophy carp over here. So I'll stick it out for a little bit and hope the other spot warms back up. Again, you guys that have played this in a while, you might happen to log on this channel and laugh at me. I don't know the count on each marker buoy or anything like that. I'm just kind of showing these guys how this play out. But a good rule of thumb, if this is a comp that you think's for you, then pay attention to kind of what's going on. And then when you go in there and practice and play around, just have an average of, you know, if you're going to catch two sturgeon in one spot or two carp, then you kind of got the idea. Again, I'm just throwing these videos up to kind of help you see how these things play out, and you just adjust accordingly. But normally over here, I can usually get two trophy carp and 3 to 4 sturgeon, and then I'll rotate back and forth. That island can get really slow, and just to save yourself time in these comps, in case you didn't know, you can pause the game if you're changing lures or baits or anything like that to save yourself a little time. And I also, there's a pretty good chance, I am in the Semi-World Bass Tour tournament. I am in the semifinals tomorrow, and I may stream that as well. And if somehow I get really lucky and placed in the top 20, I'll be playing in the finals. But I'm not setting the bar too high. I'm hoping I do okay, but playing against some of the best fishermen on Fishing Planet. So you know how that, if the computer's against me or something, but nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and stream the semifinals tomorrow. I think it's around 11 p.m. Central Time, 11 to 1. So I will be streaming that tomorrow. Again, come back over here. Again, people that's done this a while, and if you guys have fished for these a lot, you kind of know the count. But I have enough markers over here. I just kind of cast around, and when I get an open spot, I'll catch one and just cast to the next one. But this is usually a pretty fun one. I've played in it once, and the first time I think I was around 500 pounds, and then I want to say this is the third or the fourth, but I know I hit 700 pounds once, but I had a really fast run, was having a good time in it, so I just figured I'd post this up. This is, you'll have some slow moments, but this is actually a pretty enjoyable one. I just kind of wish Fishing Planet would change it. Maybe the top 15 get a prize or something. That would be kind of. I think the participation would go up a little more if it wasn't the same 3 or 4 people that are winning this stuff a lot. So maybe one day they'll adjust it. Let's hope. Oh yeah, they do. I know that. Yeah, they'll. Especially if you're on that lighter gear, those uniques and trophies will definitely run there at the Everglades, man. Again, you just kind of rotate around, see if you can find an active spot. I think if you played in this one enough, like I said, this is not something. I farm these so much, other than coming and playing in this comp, this is not something that I would actually come back and farm for, because I farmed for it so much at a lower level. I remember trying to unlock my. I had the cash saved up for it, but the generic bass boat, the Gary Scott that you get on here, I remember coming in here with a bottom sniper and a Brutus, farming these sturgeon to level up, and man, I didn't revisit this lake for a long time after that. I remember trying to go from like, we didn't have the Slim, so I had to rank up from like level 48 to 50 so I could buy the boat. And getting those last 2 levels here was horrible. And now every one of my spots is dead. And I did pull in a nice bull rush there. And also kind of in this moment, other than I'm going for a carp right now, like it might even make more sense. I'm gonna try that here in a second. I actually brought another rod and I put cut bait on it, but I could probably throw in spawn sack if I wanted to. In other words, if you're just targeting just sturgeon, there's probably a better bait than duck mussel. But since a couple of these spots are unilateral or multi-species, where there's a carp and a sturgeon there possibly, especially the spot right in front of me, um, I'll generally stay with duck mussel. Oh, you didn't get an update on Fishing Planet for the mobile version? Yeah, we've gotten updates, but man, the Fishing Planet really needs to add a couple lakes at some point. That's kind of why I went off and started doing a bunch of comps to get something different. You know, all my missions are done. Uh, Other than the events and the comps, there's not really nothing left. They really do need to add a lake, and what I'm hoping that they're doing, I hope that they're putting 3 or 4 lakes together, because that would be great if they opened up like a whole trio, kind of like they did with the Maku Maku, Amazon, and what was the other one, Maroon. It'd be kind of cool if they sequence those out where they open up a new one every 2 weeks for a month and a half period. That'd be great. And maybe we're ocean fishing next. Who knows? There's a lot of rumors out there. I think a lot of people in the Fishing Planet community would definitely like to see some ocean fishing. There we go, finally. I think it's just a carp. Carp or a really small sturgeon. Again, if you guys like using float rods, you could use a float rod if you want. Basically, that's the name of the game here. Any fish over, I think, 10.5 pounds counts. So, it's kind of up to you. I'm going to try, see if I can pick up. I'm going to switch to cut bait since I'm not trying to pick a carp up over there, and that might be your strategy. Again, as well, if you like, I don't know why you'd use a float rod on this one, but if that's your preference, you can do it. Again, if you guys are really good at catching the white bass, if you wanted to go over and try to pick up a unique white bass real quick, or Yeah, it's all in the rules. You can any fish over 5 kilograms will count. So whatever your strategy might be, adjust from there. Yeah, the ocean fishing would be amazing. I'm sure if that's what Fishing Planet's working on, that very well could be something like that, where they're going to add something really big. I'm hoping, because it's been a long time. I think last summer I think they added the Slinge River. They haven't added anything in quite a while. So you would assume and I think what I might actually do, this is a little slow right now, and this is a spot where normally I would stay with the sturgeon, but I'm going to go ahead and make just a quick cast over and see if I can pick up a stillhead real quick, just a couple casts. If I don't get anything, I'll come right back over here. But I've seen a few people go for stillhead, but generally speaking, I think your better strategy is probably to go for your sturgeon and the trophy carp, because stillhead can be a pain. I'll just get a couple casts at it and see what happens. Because, most of your stillhead, 11 to 18 pounds, and then you can get a nice trophy. But yeah, if you're a guy that can bounce around and get a unique white bass, and maybe a unique that's 30 pounds, and I think the white bass get up in the 40s here, so. But it's a partly cloudy morning too, so it might not be the best. I'll do one more cast here, see if we get something. Okay, we did get a stillhead, but again, just by the weight, unless this was ideally in this extravaganza, you're just going to go for the sturgeon and the whatever, because unless this was a unique or something, you're not really not, I got a little bit of weight out of it, but it's not going to get you where you need to go. So like I said, you just want to sit and rotate around, try to pick you up some carp or sturgeon. As you can see, again, the leader up there, that guy's probably been playing this for a hot minute. So is the other. I know that Cerber Dennis has played a lot of these things, so you can see some of these things. They kind of just need to adjust them, because if an average person comes in here that hasn't did this comp much, I mean, you could. And I'm doing okay. I'm not doing great. I got 329 pounds. Like I said, the best I did in this, in the first 3 times I did it, was I think 700 pounds or so. But again, he was already way off pace on that. So. But it's, again, just something fun to come in and try, and maybe whatever adjustments you make and you got a better strategy, then that'd definitely help you guys out. Like I said, you can get some slow moments, but there's usually, other than some of the comps that I've played in, I'm going to try to post up at least one live stream of every comp that I do, that kind of be saved on the channel, so you guys can just reference it to see if it helps you or not. But again, that's a quick 26 pounds, so. Kind of hop around whatever marks you might have, and if you need a mark, let me know. But I think any of you guys that's farmed this probably already have marks. But you'll see that like the leader there, he's got 850 pounds. It's pretty much a little over double what I have. Uh, you can see where I'm not going to be on the pace of one of those guys, but whatever adjustments you can make again, you might be able to do a lot better. And that's one good thing about fishing planning in general. You'll kind of all find that everybody's kind of got their special bait that they like within reason and hook size, so you guys just adjust how you need to. Some people might say a 4.0 is too small. Again, I'm just trying to go for a steady bite, and just depending on what you're doing. Maybe you want to try to go and hope that maybe if you put a 6.0 on, 6.0 hook, all your sturgeon's a little bigger. But as you can see, the 51 pounder, I caught a 51 pounder on a hook 4.0, so I don't think it really matters too much. Again, you guys this is all your personal preference. I've been putting a bunch of these up just to try to help you guys out, and if anything, you'll find in some of these comps I'll fall flat on my face, and every once in a while I'll surprise you. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to qualify for the semifinals in the World Bass Tournament. I didn't really know Quanchkin Lake as well as I did the Everglades. I thought I had a better chance at the Everglades. I did okay at the Everglades. I got 10 unis. However, I didn't. I had 3 uniques at the Everglades, and they were 8 pounders, which is extremely small for that particular map. Those uniques can go as high as 12. I just kind of got bad RNG, and I ended up qualifying for the semifinals at Quanchkin Lake, so I just kind of kept at it. But again, you guys revisit any of those videos, either where it's next year if you're playing that, or even some of these comps, I think you can make, just from watching me fish in it, you can build off of something good I did, or learn from something I did wrong that you would just change on your own. And I think that's what's beneficial to, so I'm putting a lot of these up a little different. Somebody might put a whole guide up together. It kind of gets a little bit confusing, but you can kind of live be able to see what's happened and revisit it, and also maybe keep a count. That's one thing. I'm kind of distracted because I'm talking, but ideally I think you'd probably want to count how many you've caught in each spot. I try to memorize it as I go, but a lot of these guys, that's the difference. I know some people will say this guy's cheating or whatever. The guy at the top's not cheating, I don't think. It's just he knows what he's doing. He's probably going to cast like a marker I cast at, knows he can get a trophy carp there. He casts to another spot. He knows the other spot he can get 2 sturgeon there, so on and so forth. So he knows the counts. That's something I do not know, but that's just something to build off if you guys are into these comps. It looks like I'm on a pace for around 600, which is going to be maybe middle of the pack if it holds. But this is also a very popular comp. Again, just by me throwing a bunch of these up, I think I've got a pretty good diverse group of people on my friends list. Some guys are really good at, lure fishing. Some guys can tell you exactly what time these fish are going to spawn at this lake, and they like using bait and what bait to use and what hook size. That's what I always get a kick out of. It's kind of when I started this channel, this is not just my knowledge. This is knowledge that I don't give away any secrets of anybody's, but I know guys on my friends list, if I want to catch this at that lake, they know the hook size, the bait. I noticed I did all the recatch, the checklist at every lake, and it wasn't just me doing it. It was a lot of my friends helping me out. So, and the spoiler alert on that, I thought when I did the checklist on every lake, that the Fishing Planet would give you an award or something, or a trophy, or at least some bait coins, or some X Series gear. Oh no. Your little checklist that you do on every lake, at the end of it, I caught every fish in the game and didn't get anything for it other than just the experience, I guess. So gained a lot of markers out of it. But yeah, typically speaking, I'm not going to go to Sandersby Lake, for example, and farm uni roach. I think there's a roach tournament there maybe, but that's not something that I would typically go to enjoy myself with. Oh, there's a nice one. Again, this here can kind of be streaky. You can go on a hot streak and then it goes dead. But I said if a guy was to figure out, let's say, these things respawn real time every 30 minutes or whatever, then just kind of keep your count, and then you'll know how many to catch from each spot. And basically that's all these guys are doing. I'm sure they're making hook sizes adjustments. So maybe they might even start out with 6.0 hooks or something and then downgrade to like a 4.0. It's kind of all up to you guys, but I've just noticed. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's another comp. Again, if you guys kind of notice, I do drag back a little bit. See how that got me a strike? If you, in other words, a lot of times I've noticed from playing in these comps, whether it's the flounder, there's a flounder one later too. I might do that one. I've gotten a little better at. Uh, I remember being a kid fishing, and my grandpa would always get mad at me because he always thought I was casting too much or reeling my thing around. But I remember one time I was messing around, and we were actually fishing for crappie or bluegill or something, and I kept moving my bobber around. He was getting agitated. I'm like, he said, you know, why do you keep moving everything? You gotta wait for the fish to bite. And I'm like, well, it's not biting, so don't I have to move it? And about that time, I moved my bobber, and a big 5-pound bass came up and bit a nightcrawler of all things. But if I wouldn't have been moving my bobber around, I don't even think I would have got the bite. So the moral of the story is, if you're not getting action, too much, too much movement can scare them, but not enough, I think, then you're not going to entice a bite. And on this game in general, for sure, I can't stand just sitting there forever with one rod, just waiting. So I try to be patiently impatient. And now again, if this spot goes slow, I'm gonna go just spawn right back to the boat and go over there. Again, if there's any of you guys slayers that you get in this dull moment, I think a guy could almost, if he had his couple rods set up, you could almost spawn back to the dock, try to get a unique striped bass, maybe, if you're fast enough, and maybe that's what they do. The weird thing is, when I sit in these rooms, most of the time I'm not in with the leaders. Every once in a while, a couple guys on my friends list, I'll be in their room, but like the guy at the top there's got 954 pounds. You know, I'm not going to call that guy a cheater. I'm just going to say he's playing good, and he knows he's got a system. So, but I would always be curious to see if this extravaganza event, do they spawn over real quick and uh, pick up a unique white bass or a quick stillhead, or do they just grind these sturgeon out? Again, this is the moment. Once you've kind of fished this island out, then I just spawn back to your boat, and then you just want to go back over to the island. And if I'm lucky, this should be active again, either a carp or sturgeon. So I could try to get 2, 3 more fish here if possible, unless it's extremely slow. Towards the end, sometimes will slow down quite a bit, and maybe that's a point where you'd go over. But get it close to your marker. Like I said, leave it for a little bit. Don't. Do you have a mobile conf? No, Mariska, bro. For me, just keeping up with just the only account I got is on the PlayStation Network, so, or my PS5. So no, that would be way too much for me to keep up with. No. I got a couple friends, I think they play mobile, and I don't know how long's the mobile version been out. I'd probably have a tough time with the mobile version, I'm pretty sure. My muscle memory, even like I'm not knocking anybody that likes Xbox. I don't know if you guys are the same. I grew up pretty much most part playing, well, it's been a long time. I grew up playing Atari, but that's besides the point. PlayStation, for me, the controllers, I couldn't even adapt. My son has the Xbox and a gaming PC and a PS5, but I don't. I have trouble just playing with an Xbox controller. I'm so familiar with the the feel of the PlayStation controllers. That's what I usually stick with. Oh, it's been out for 2 years. Okay, it's been out a little while. Then yeah, I'd probably have. Here's a nice one. I'd probably have trouble with the mobile version, to be honest. There's a nice 49 pounder. Okay, so I got one over here. If I can get one or two more of either a carp or a sturgeon, we're doing okay. Like I said, I'm not having a horrible run, and I'm not having a great run. I'm right there in the middle of the pack, which is fine. Again, this is for any of you guys that are watching this or watch it back later. If you haven't played in this one yet, this is actually a pretty fun one. And like I said, you don't have to set the bar too high for yourself to start. But I think enough friends that I have on my friends list that might watch this, you could definitely, several of you guys would probably be better at this one than I am. And just in general, other than this game, I don't really bait fish too much in real life. If you notice by a lot of the videos that I put up, the majority of mine are uh, my how-to, so to speak. They're all. I like fishing with lures, man. I get this even for me, even though it's a lot faster paced than some of these comps. I uh, I get impatient really quick, so I prefer to lure fish even on this game, more so in real life. Like I said, I told you the story about my grandpa and I fishing. He's the type of guy, he's patient and he just likes to sit there and wait for a fish to bite. I like to try to make them bite. So lure fishing for me is what I like. But I've noticed since I got back in these comps and I played in this one a couple times now, uh, this lake is beautiful. I don't know if you guys that did the grind on fishing playing it here and used to farm the sturgeon back in the day, it can. In other words, now that I've revisited it, I've actually have a little bit more fun here than back when I was just sitting there farming these things with a bottom sniper. Good grief. And what would happen is back then, it's like every rod on my rod stand would go off at the same time, and then you're trying to juggle this one and that one, and gosh. Again, don't get hung up in a spot too long, but I want to say I should have been able to pick up at least two sturgeon over here or a sturgeon and a carp, so I'm trying to stick this out a couple more minutes and I'll go back to the island. Again, for any guys tuning in, this is a hour-long comp. We started a little late. Didn't affect our timer, but again, I think my highest score on this is 700, and my worst was 500 in my first one, so I'm just doing just okay, but usually you'll get a little bit of a lull or a slow spell, and then they kind of, whether they're respawning or not, I don't know the exact respawn timer on any of this stuff, but that's just something, food for thought that you guys can figure out later. The odd part, I'm going to try something different right here. Again, if just because both of these spots all along this grass could have carp or sturgeon, I'll stay with the duck mussel, but and obviously if you're wanting to target just sturgeon, I'd probably say spawn sack or uh, large cut bait, huge cut bait would probably be the better choice for you. And you might want to go with 6-0s, all up to you. Yeah, you know what? You say that. If I was fishing for the stillhead and the white bass in here, I used to farm those with shrimp. Shrimp's one of my favorite baits on this game. You can catch catfish with it, shark, trout, bass, even just regular shrimp at the Everglades, believe it or not. I used to catch unique bass there at the Everglades off of shrimp. Shrimp on a 4-0 hook. Yeah, I like shrimp, man. Shrimp's a good bait. And spawn back over and see if you got anything active. Again, as you can see, the guy at the top, he's just crushing it. He's got 1,000 pounds, and there's depends on who playing when and what kind of round they're having. But I wouldn't doubt the OG guy that's in that one of his team. That's his team there. That's his, the OG. There's several of those guys, but these guys probably got a lot of this stuff locked down. But nonetheless, it's something fun to partake in. Oh, fishing using. Yeah, I've used. I'm sorry, man. I misunderstood what you said. Yeah, the in real life I use something. It's we get it at the grocery store. It's called TV shrimp bait, or no, it might be RV shrimp bait. You can get it in the store. It's in a box. It's frozen. It's not live. It's actually pretty good. We use it for like flathead catfish and farm ponds, and the channel catfish will bite it too. That looks like a nice one. Ooh, 54 pounder. Nice. See, and I might be making a mistake there, guys, too. That spot I just casted at, maybe there's two right there on that marker buoy, and that'll be kind of just what you guys have to figure out, is there two in that one spot? I normally just like to hop around from mark to mark, but maybe you catch two from one mark and then move on certain spots. That I haven't played in this enough to know. And like again, I think that's what the top guys are doing. They probably know whatever marker buoy they're fishing towards. There's two on this one on that one, that sort of thing. That's kind of basically, in my opinion, all they're doing is to be so far ahead. And then on top of that, if I'm getting 25 and 35 pound sturgeon and he's always getting 45 and 55 pounds, he's going to just gain exponentially time and time again. So just all things you guys could adjust. Now, Mariska, do you catch your own bait, or you catch that shrimp, or are you buying it? I thought for sure there'd be one right there. Again, I wouldn't give any one marker more than probably a minute real time. If you don't have a bite at 45 seconds to a minute, I usually, especially later on here, try to find where they're at. And I've noticed that mark I just thrown towards back there, you can catch them from 180 foot to as little as 160. Sometimes if you just slowly drag this back, you'll get a trophy carp as well. So I kind of just work this back from there. I might take it to like 160, 150 range. If I don't have anything by 140, I'll usually bring it in. Again, I'm just trying to make something happen. It's getting towards the end of the comp and into the peak, so I was dragging that and heard the bell went off for a little bit, so I might give it 20, 30 seconds, see if something bit it. Bites it, more than likely it could have been a sturgeon, could have been a carp. At least give it a good 15, 20 seconds just in case. A lot of times it'll come back. If they don't, just reel it in a little ways. And also, it looks like some people are going for Chinook in here. Again, that 150 to 145 range. If I don't get anything by then, I'll. And since the sturgeon's kind of lethargic or slow acting, I'll cast out here. Try to pick up another carp. Again, don't wait too long. There's something trying to hit it. Yep, that should be a trophy carp. Wasn't a very big one, but we will take it. It counts. Again, my best is around 700 in this, so I'm going to kind of finish kind of right in the middle where I was before. So, again, if you guys watch this at any point, just kind of make whatever adjustments, and hey, who knows, you might be able to get up in that 800, 850 pound range. Maybe higher. But I hope at some point I'd like to see one of my friends off my friends list. I come in here and playing one of these, and one of you guys have did well on this, hopefully. Oh, no wonder. That's why I didn't get a bite. Again, over here you can pick up carp or sturgeon, so I'm staying with the on this cast right here. I've caught carp right there as well, so I'll keep the duck muscle on. But again, you guys, if you're wanting to go for just sturgeon, then switch your baits. Usually the last 8 or 9 minutes in this thing can get really slow, so make whatever adjustments you need to make from there. Kind of give you a more steady of a bite, but you can see just again the difference in experience of somebody that's played this thing probably 40 times would be my guess. This guy at the top there, he's probably played this so many times since this legs came out. In other words, he's got a nice routine that he runs every time, and it's probably why he's so far ahead of everybody else. You know, a lot of time that I spent in this game until this recently entering comps there around February, majority of like you guys that are, I spent so much time just farming and ranking, getting cash and unlocking gear and doing missions. Some of these guys, they've just been doing it all, doing a lot of the comps all along, so. I'm going to hit this short spot first just to see I'm lucky, there could be another common carp, trophy common carp here, or a sturgeon if I'm lucky. If not, I'll cast back out one more time there and probably finish the last part over at the drive over to the other spot. Give me a couple of minutes to catch something, hopefully. Maybe not. I'm running out of time. I'll have to look at see what the schedule is, but I may charge my mic for a little bit, and then I'll see what I might do another comp tonight. Yeah, looks like this is all they're gonna give me. Oh no, there's one there too. There's an example of me being impatient. And believe it or not, I have caught a sturgeon right here every once in a while. This one's not here very often, but sometimes he is. Alright guys, as we conclude this, we could have did a lot better. We're in 16th right now, but we could have did a lot better. I'll just show you guys this. That there is a sturgeon right here in front of me. I've caught him before, right there. And another good hot spot is right there. Alright, as you guys can see, we did get a 51 pounder, two 51 pounders. And that was the hook 49 pounder, and our biggest was a 54 pounder. Again, this is the Joaquin Extravaganza on Fishing Planet comp. I hope you guys can definitely improve on the score that I put up, but I've been in the 700s before, so I'm not gonna complain either way. We do have, I was just gonna show you real quick on this, in case I didn't try to make a habit of doing this. The rewards on this would have been getting the top 3, so you're looking to gain X-ray larva, maybe that I wouldn't have. A lot of this stuff on here that most people can get without doing a comp, but the larva would be one that would, and then if you didn't have any of this other stuff, but again, the top 3 is what gets the X series and the good gear and bait coins and stuff, so from there down, you're not really getting much, so I may play, let me see what's on here. I won't play in that one, but I might come back later. No guarantees. I may come back up and do the scores from the bottom. That one can be slow too, but I've gotten a little better at it, just depending on how things go. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the comp, and hopefully it helps you guys do what you can to improve, and hope you enjoyed. Take care.